Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well today on this hot day. And I also hope we're all hydrated. And yeah, today on my live stream, we're going to be talking to one of my friends from college who is a care leaver, and she'll be speaking about her experiences in school, going to university, just general life as a student studying law. So I'm going to quickly introduce her, and also in this live stream, we're going to be answering any questions that you may have regarding results day for A-level or GCSE students. So just feel free to pop all your questions in the comment section. And without further ado, I'm just going to switch to the other scene so we'll meet our guests. So yeah, if you just want to tell us who you are, introduce yourself, how have you been today, how's life?
So hi everyone, I'm Bri. I'm going into my second year of law at Brasenose with Fran. I'm from Nottingham-ish originally. I'm a care leaver, which is, we'll get into, but basically spending time in foster care. And yeah, that's kind of me.
Amazing. And on screen, for people watching the live stream, I've also put up Bri's page that she set up, which we'll probably end up speaking about in a second, called Do They Care? So make sure at the end of the live stream, or now if you want, that you give that a follow, because this is an organisation, I mean, she could probably speak better about it herself, and that she's set up via Instagram to kind of encourage students from disadvantaged care leaver backgrounds to apply to university. So make sure you give that a follow. So yeah, I guess without further ado, we'll start to delve into the questions. And before we start with questions that were sent in, I guess you can just tell us your general story of getting to university. Was it something that you always aspired for? How was your A-level GCSE experience?
So yeah, I've always been kind of one of the academic ones, and I've always wanted to go to university. I really enjoy sort of learning. I like what I'm doing. So yeah, university was always something that was on the cards, possibly not always, definitely not always Oxford, but university was. I went into foster care when I was 14. Before that, I lived with my family. I've got lots of brothers and sisters. It was just me that went into foster care for personal reasons, not anything to do with like my family or anything. And then from there, I lived in a residential home for a year and a half, and then lived with some foster carers to do my GCSEs. I kind of enjoyed doing GCSEs. I did like the experience. Obviously, it was a bit stressful sort of towards the end, but a lot of the content I really enjoyed, and that was sort of where I found what I really enjoyed and I wanted to do as my A-levels. So I got my GCSEs, did well in my GCSEs, but struggled to work out whether I wanted to go to sixth form or to college. So I originally wanted to be a paediatric nurse.
Ooh, healthcare, I love that.
I was going to go to college and do sort of like a health and service diploma to then go into nursing from there. But after my leavers assembly, I decided I didn't want to leave my school, because at that point I moved to live on my own. So I stayed at my school just because it was easier. And originally my A-levels were history, psychology, maths and chemistry. But then my teachers were like, no.
They were just like, nope.
Well, to be fair, I took maths. I did do like 2 lessons of maths, but I just couldn't do it. So I just swapped that. So I ended up doing English literature, history, psychology and politics. And I chose to do law because I wanted to sort of bring all those 4 together, because all the sort of skills and knowledge that I got from those 4 kind of A-levels went towards doing law. I chose to apply to Oxford after going on Unique, which I know Fran's spoken about. I think I was on Unique a week after Fran. And yeah, so that was kind of where Oxford came into it. Before that, it was going to be sort of Nottingham based universities, but then from Unique, I wanted to apply further.
Amazing. And now she's here and she's thriving. I guess we can, because you kind of mentioned Unique and how that kind of encouraged you to apply to Oxford. I guess I can ask, like, in terms of the school that you came from, were they very encouraging of you to go to Oxford and Cambridge? Were there many people who were aspiring to go to Oxford and Cambridge? Did you have a lot of support doing so? If not, what did you do as an alternative?
Yeah, so they were very encouraging. It's not all that they weren't encouraging. It's not all that there wasn't any support. It was just that not many people did it. I think I was the first one to go to Oxford, and I think we've had one for Cambridge 30 years ago or something. And yeah, but then the support in place was really good. As soon as I said I wanted to apply to law, my head of sixth form was fab. She'd send me over, any outreach days I could go on. I did pathways to law, went on a law open day down to Oxford, did some work experience in London. So she was sending me all these things, and they were really supportive. It's not that they weren't at all supportive. It was just that it was very difficult to find the support because nobody really knew what they were doing. So in terms of like interviews and things, we didn't really know what we were doing. We just ended up sort of chatting about law, which actually, as much as I didn't think it was, did end up being, quite similar to the interview experience. But yeah, so not many people go on to Oxford or Cambridge, but it wasn't that they weren't trying to be supportive. It was just that maybe we couldn't access the right support that was needed.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think there's a question that's been asked which links onto what you were talking about summer schools, and this is sent in by Sai, who asks, do you suggest joining summer schools? And I think it's also important to highlight that a lot of students this year have had summer schools cancelled. As a lawyer, you were planning on doing so many internships over the holidays, which some of them have been cancelled. Do you recommend any alternatives? And also, like, next year, do you recommend joining summer schools for prospective students?
Yeah, definitely. So pathways to law, and I think there's pathways to other things. I think there's like pathways to medicine and things like that. It's a 2-year program, so that starts in year 12. So do apply for that if you can. Just give it a Google. It's with the Sutton Trust. And then things like Unique all ran online this year. So I was an ambassador for Unique this year online. We did lots of sort of Zoom calls and Teams calls with students who were supposed to be coming to the residential. And obviously I'm not a student, I didn't do it in that format, but I felt like it went really well. I felt like students did seem to get a lot out of it. So yeah, definitely do apply, and don't sort of be put off by the idea of it all being remote, because unis and people running summer schools are trying to do as best they can to make things work well in terms of being online. But so yeah, just apply. Anything that's like any outreach days, anything you see on Twitter. I always find Twitter really useful for finding like different opportunities and things. So yeah, anything like that, like don't let the remoteness put you off, and do definitely apply for it.
Do you know what? That's actually like quite interesting that you've said that you found a lot of opportunities through Twitter, because I feel quite like shielded from the world of Twitter, because I mean, the last time I had it was probably in like 2015 when no one really had it, and I haven't been on it since. Do you think it's like a good place to find opportunities? If you're new to Twitter, how do you go about navigating it? Because it's a massive, massive world. And if you're like me, who doesn't have Twitter, how else would you recommend finding opportunities that are available for free for students like us?
So I've been on Twitter since I was about 14, I think. And I actually have 2 Twitters. So I've got one that I use for more sort of networking, following like different organisations, and I've got my personal one that's like private. But I found over the summer, I've recently been appointed to the Office of the Student Panel. That was an opportunity I found through Twitter. I've had interviews for other panels all opportunities I found through Twitter. So I think like using it, you can use it to your advantage if you follow the right people. I think personally for me, I have to sort of like mute some words, because I feel like, especially in the current sort of climate, you know, if you're scrolling down social media and all you can see is all these like scaremongering facts about coronavirus and COVID and all of this. So I've actually muted a lot of words on my Twitter. And I think, as with any social media, it's really about sort of curating your feed to what you want to see, making sure that the people that can sort of see. So my public Twitter, there's nothing on there that I wouldn't publicly tell someone. And I think that that's really important, but I've actually found it really useful. Had lots of chats with people and found loads of different opportunities. So I would recommend using it, maybe more for uni students, but, you know, at sort of A-level age, it can be really good, especially for if you are a year 12 and you're following sort of, you know, the unis you want to go to and their outreach departments or the faculty that you want to be involved in. Like a lot of them retweet things, you know, even like journals that you could read for your personal statements and things like that.
Right, you've actually convinced me. Like, I'm about to reactivate my Twitter account from 2015. But yeah, you've highlighted something really important about how, like, especially due to like this whole lockdown pandemic situation, a lot of people and organizations have kind of reverted to put in more resources on the internet, and that's all available to all of us. And it just takes a matter of following the right people, as you said, kind of curating your feed, your timeline on Instagram, so that you, as soon as like information about new opportunities comes out, you're one of the first people to know. And yeah, it's like, it's so important how you mentioned that although social media is like absolutely amazing, like there's so many pros, there's also cons. However, you can use social media for your advantage. And recently I found out that Instagram is such an amazing way of kind of sharing those resources, sharing advice, and I imagine Twitter to be the same. So definitely check out, as I said, Bry's page. Do They Care, for more information about kind of accessing university. And yeah, check out my Instagram, YouTube page, because I also share resources from myself and other people on there as well. And yeah, anything else to add, or should we move on to next question?
Yeah, let's move on.
Really cool. Okay, next one sent in by Creator's Daughter, and this is more about why did you pick law? She seems like very angry with the tone. Why did you pick law? Why? I'm joking. Don't come for me.
No, I get it. I picked law because, well, as I've said, I wanted to be a nurse. And I sat down with my head of sixth form and I said, you know, I want to be a nurse. I want to help people. I really like working with children. I do a lot of sort of like tutoring and things. Like I really like to work with younger people. I've got quite a few younger siblings, so that was kind of what I wanted to do. And she was like, yeah, I don't think that's using your skills to the sort of best way they could be. Because I am very academic and sort of the nursing training maybe wasn't for me. So we sat down and we talked about other things that could mean that I was helping people, but also use the skills I had. A lot of that is in sort of, or at that point, I was good at sort of like writing essays, arguments, like writing an argument, things like that. So law kind of seemed to be quite a good fit. And I really like how law is, you know, you can study law and not have to go into law. I don't want to be a lawyer. I'd really like to work in education. I'm thinking about teaching for a bit after my degree. So it's not something that you have to you have to be a lawyer with it. I've never really wanted to be a solicitor or a barrister, but it's good for sort of a springboard. It's a good degree. It gets you a lot of sort of transferable skills. And I think I mentioned earlier that my 4 A-levels were psychology, history, politics, and English literature. And I wanted the skills that I'd learned from there, I wanted to sort of continue, and that has actually been fitted pretty well. It has sort of helped in those respects as well.
Amazing. Hopefully that's answered your question and also highlighted that like you can do a degree at university and that doesn't necessarily seal your fate as to kind of going down that route. I mean, you can do medicine and end up convert into a law course. You can do, I mean, one person in our college is actually considering doing that. I'm not going to name any names. As Bryce said, you can do law and kind of your future may have nothing to do with law, I guess one thing to recommend when picking a degree, pick the course that you enjoy the most instead of thinking about future prospects and, you know, whether I'm going to get a job at the end of it, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to do that degree for how many years? You're going to have to endure it. So if you don't enjoy it, you're just making it that much harder to get through the degree. So definitely don't think about end goal and career prospects, that will come with time, and as Bryce said, you can do something completely different to kind of the direction of your degree. So yeah, I guess naturally carry on. Sorry,
just to add on to that, as Franz just said, do what you enjoy, and especially if any of you are thinking about law as a career, you don't actually need to do the full 3, mine's a 4 year because I've got a year abroad law degree. You can do whatever you want and do 1 year of, I think it's called like a graduate diploma in law, GDL. So if you do want to do a law career path, but you don't actually really want to do, you know, all of the law bits that aren't compulsory, you can do that. So if you are thinking about that and you don't think the whole degree is for you, then do something you enjoy and sort of work your way into it that way.
Amazing. And the next question's linking on to, well, I've just created a link between what you were talking about at the end of your last answer about what you're interested in doing in the future. You're interested in working with education. And I guess next question is kind of surrounding what do you want to do in the future, and also about the Do They Care Instagram page that you set up. So Josh sent in the question. I've just followed Do They Care on Instagram and I love it. Why did you set it up?
So I set it up because obviously not all care leavers. I'm a care leaver and I was very, very much supported by school. My school were brilliant. I haven't got a bad word to say about them in terms of how they supported me to get to university. But I'm very aware, having done lots of sort of outreach days and things, that obviously not everybody gets that same support. And also anyone who's in foster care or has been in foster care is under a local authority. So for me that's Nottinghamshire, but it could be Oxfordshire, whatever, like any local authority. And I'm very aware that the support across local authorities isn't the same either. And so not everybody gets the same access to the information about university, and that does stretch wider. It's not just about care leavers. Not everything I post is directly focused at care leavers. It's just that I know that this support is often kind of, like a postcode lottery, and I wanted to sort of be able to curate some of that information sort of in one place, and use that to sort of pass out the information and pass down the knowledge, especially because for care leavers in particular, I think from going straight from A-level into university, it's something like 6% of care leavers go on to university, and then something like 1 or 2% of them go on to a selective university, like a top 30 university. So I wanted to be able to sort of, talk about my experiences and be visible, because a lot of people don't like to say they're a care leaver, because there's taboos going around that. But so I feel like for me it would have been nice to know that there was another person, and there obviously are people in years above me at uni that are care leavers, but they're not as, like, I don't know who they are. So I kind of like the idea of there being someone that needs to go, oh, they're a care leaver, they might know what I mean person. So yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And I mean, I've been following the page since you first started it, and I think you're doing such an amazing job, especially with your infographic posts, which give key information for like frequently. No, but you've taken it and ran with it, because you've answered so many questions about like, results day, about moving to university, about fears, about what to bring to university, about like all these questions that sometimes people are too scared to ask. You've got like the information all on this one page, which is amazing. And I guess my next question for you is kind of, what are your future plans after law? Where are you going to go? I know you're really passionate about education and teaching, as you mentioned before. Are you going to continue with Do They Care? Like, what are your plans for things? Tell us.
So I'd like to continue with Do They Care, just sort of as we go along. I'm not making it sort of, a big thing, because I think sometimes if I say, oh, I've got to post something every day, then first of all, I might get like, I don't know, run out of ideas, but also things aren't always relevant. So I'm just trying to keep it sort of relevant. But in terms of sort of future plans, I've got second year in Oxford, and then in third year I'll be going abroad to Leiden in the Netherlands to do a year abroad, and then come back and finish my degree. So I'll graduate in 2023. And then from there, I'm looking into sort of doing secondary education, so a PGCE, hopefully in history, but it's quite difficult to find because I've not done a curriculum subject, it's quite difficult to find a PGCE that fits. But I want to do a training course, ideally in secondary education, but I wouldn't be too angry at primary education because I do quite enjoy sort of teaching younger children. And I think a lot of access starts too late. I feel like if you can introduce the idea of university to, 11-year-olds, I think that can put them in some really good stead. So either way, I'd like to do some teaching, and then sort of springboard into more policy or local authority education work, and make more of a wider scale change. But that's me being very idealistic. So maybe I'll just teach for the rest of my life, which I'm really mad at.
I love how you just went, oh, maybe I'll just teach. I'm sure you're going to go on to do big and amazing things. You're already doing so now, and I just can't wait. And by the way, guys, forgot to mention, Bri is my college sister, so basically we're bloods. So what she does, I've basically done it vicariously through you. So yeah, moving on to the next question, and this is about your experiences in care. Creator's daughter asked, did you live in a care home with many other children, and how was the experience for you?
So for the first 2 weeks I lived in a foster care, like just a family home placement, but for a year and a half after that I actually lived in a residential home, and there were 5 of us, so it's me and 4 other children, and we were all sort of 13, 14, 15-year-olds, and yeah, it was actually there were obviously some sort of bad bits, and we did sort of fall out sometimes, but as you would expect a bunch of 15-year-olds to do. But there was a lot of support. There were about 15, 20 members of staff who used to come in and do shift work, so they'd work sort of 7 in-the-morning till 2 p.m, and then sort of 2 till 10, and then there'd be a night staff, so there was always people around, and it was pretty normal. I never found it sort of, like it was a bit strange. Obviously, like having conversations with my friends about being in a residential home was a bit difficult because everyone sort of thinks, Tracy Beaker straight away, and Tracy Beaker's probably, there are some bits of it that are actually quite representative, but I think it can sometimes put a bit of a negative spin on it, whereas I found most of my experience to be pretty positive. I think on the Do They Care page, as a shameless plug, I did
love it.
Podcast with C Positive Vista, I think is her name, and she does a podcast called Mind Your Thoughts, where I spoke for I think it was like half an hour, about living in residential care. But yeah, it became to me quite a normal experience. I keep in contact with children I live with. I still keep in contact with people who work there, and on the whole it was a really positive experience.
Oh, sorry. I got distracted for a second because I'm reading all the comments that are coming through. And I also put the name of the podcast, Mind Your Thoughts, which Bri spoke on screen now. So definitely check that out if you want to learn more about her experiences. And someone has just put in the comment section, Bri, can you open a YouTube channel? I'm so down for that. I've already subscribed, liked, turned the notification bell on.
Wait till we get back to Oxford and Fran can help me.
I would love that.
This video.
I would absolutely love that. Yeah, and thank you for kind of sharing your experiences and helping debunk some myths surrounding, being a care leaver and living in care. Next question is also about your experiences, and Creator's Daughter again asks, do you feel like being a care leaver has affected your chances at getting into internships or university places?
I did, but I think now it's actually quite a positive. I've got quite a positive spin on it. So in terms of university, the UCAS form, assuming that you're applying through UCAS, I'm obviously not sure about all university applications, but through UCAS, there's an opportunity to tick whether you're a care leaver, and this flags you up to university, just in the same way as coming from an underperforming school, coming from a low, like a POLA score or something, low postcode score, and it does flag you up as someone that it might be that they might need to look into. There might be extenuating circumstances, there might be a bit of support that needs to be put in place. So in terms of university, once that was explained to me by my head of sixth form, because she had obviously had experience with other children in care in the past, I actually think it was never a bad thing, and it's also not a thing that's like everybody at uni does know that I'm a care leaver, but like for other people, it's not something that becomes sort of written on your forehead or anything, and it's often quite good because it gives you sort of a flag that says, give this person a chance, which I always found really positive. And also, especially in sort of my interview period and the period after I got my offer from Oxford, my college is obviously Brasenose with Fran, and they were really supportive. They emailed me, sent me a letter straight away, invited me. So in terms of university, it's actually been quite good because it's meant that I've got targeted support, and people support me and know why I need support. In terms of internships, I haven't actually applied for many. So I've applied, I'm a Lloyds scholar with the Lloyds Scholarship Programme, which I think will be reopening in the year 2020 to 21. I think it got halted this year due to COVID, but that is definitely worth looking up if you just Google like Lloyds Scholars. And the original internship I was supposed to be doing over the summer was with them, and it's a 12-week internship. That got cancelled. But now I'm doing an internship with the Brilliant Club, which is sort of acts as an outreach charity. And that was something I applied through Franxstudies scholarships. So Fran, have you spoken about Franxstudies? I feel like you have.
I have before, but we can definitely explore it here because there's been questions about financial support available to students.
The Franxstudies scholarship is basically a means-tested scholarship. I think Oxford has the Franxstudies scholarship and the Oxford bursary. I think Franxstudies is people with a household income of under.
I think it's 20. I think they've changed it to 27,000. But the information is available on the Oxford website, which I'll put in the description.
So I think 27-ish, and that gives you some extra finances, so a bit off your tuition fees, a bit of extra bursary towards your maintenance, and also opportunities to do certain internships that aren't widely available, that are only available to Franxstudies scholars. But also my experience as a care leaver has meant that I'm a Franxstudies scholar because of my income. My income was nil when I came to university because I lived on my own. So I kind of, in a roundabout way, it has helped. But my tip would be just always, if you are a care leaver, disclose it comfortable to, because it is often really good, and a lot of opportunities can come from it. It's just about you being comfortable to sort of disclose the information, because not everyone is, and it's not always safe for everyone to do so. So, obviously, don't do anything you don't want to do.
Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I think it's so important how you highlighted that it makes such a difference knowing that there's someone else like you who's been through similar experiences. And these days, one of the major platforms that you can see that through is through social media, through pages like your own, such as Do They Care, another plug. So if anyone does kind of need to speak to anyone, if anyone is a care leaver or is in care and wants to speak to someone about their experiences and ask for like specialized advice, do feel free to send an Instagram DM to Bri through the Do They Care page. I'll put the link on the screen and also in the description bar below. Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. We're going to move on to the next one. I think this is related to results day, and yeah, the student has been asking the question quite often, so I feel as though they're kind of like eager to find the answer out. And this one has been about okay, I think I've lost the question. Found it again. Can you get rejected from all universities? I'm so scared. So I believe this is in regards to results day. First thing I'd like to say is, honestly, I know this is easier said than done, but please don't spend your time thinking about results day. It's so important that we are prepared for it, especially if university places are riding on it. But don't let it be kind of the only thing that's on your mind, because it will just cause unnecessary stress. And I've been through it, Bry's been through it, and looking back now, I'm sure it's the same with you. We just put ourselves through so much unnecessary stress. So yeah, please try to not worry about it and do other things that will take your mind off it. But yeah, in terms of can you get rejected from all universities, it is a possibility. The way it works in the UK, you can only confirm 2 university choices, one for your firm and one for your insurance. And unfortunately, if you don't meet the grades for your insurance, sometimes the universities will reject you. However, there is the possibility that even if you don't make the grades, the university can look at the situation and still decide to take you on. A few of my friends from Oxford have actually missed their offer on paper, but Oxford still kind of accepted them. So it is very possible that you get rejected from all universities. But then again, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, especially in this climate when, you didn't actually sit the exams and it was all decided by some system that Ofqual kind of designed. Brian, do you have anything to add?
Also, just to add that being rejected at this stage where you've not sat your exams, I think I don't know much about what the government are doing. Does the government know much about what they're doing?
I don't really know.
I think they're going to take. I think I read something today. It was like they're going to take the highest from your teachers, your mocks, or if you resit. So the chances of you not getting those grades are pretty slim. But also remember, there's nothing you can have done about it. You didn't unleash Corona. It just happened. It's just a natural thing. It is a massive shame, but also clearing exists. And I know so many people who have gone through clearing, got places at universities that were maybe better suited. And there's no one right path. So if you don't get the grades for this university that you want to get into, then you can resit, or you can do something else, or you can go back to university later. There's lots of different sort of ways you can go. I would be aware that clearing exists. There's an app called Uni Compare or something that I did sit through and write down all the unis that maybe I wanted to go to if I didn't get my offer. So yeah, look through clearing, speak to your teachers, but good luck. And I highly doubt that anyone's going to be sort of floundering with no university. Whatever happens, whether you get your firm insurance or a clear in place, the chances are you'll get confirmation.
100%. Although a results day is the most hectic day, especially if you kind of don't make the grades, by the end of the day, people have rung up so many universities and teachers have been so helpful that everyone kind of ends up being where they want to be, whether that's in kind of a clearing university but still doing the course that you want to do, or kind of speaking to teachers about remarking, in this case maybe resitting. You always end up with options, so you won't be left kind of not knowing where to go next. And on the topic of clearing, if you're a medic, I don't know if you are, I'm kind of assuming, universities medical schools are actually offering places through clearing. The ones I'm aware of are actually University of Leicester. They're offering clearing places for medicine with foundation year. St George's, University of London, University of Buckingham, which is a private medical school, Lancaster University, University of Plymouth, University of Nottingham for May entry clearing. But yeah, I'll leave all the details down below, but that just goes to show, even if you do miss your offer, there's still a chance that you can get to where you want to. If that's medicine, that's medicine. If that's another course, you know, it's still possible. Yeah, hopefully that's answered your question, and we will move on to the next one. Next one sent in by Rebecca, who asks, was it hard to speak to other non-care students about your experiences?
Yeah. So at my secondary school, it was pretty common knowledge, and I didn't really have many problems because I knew the people beforehand, so I knew who I could tell. But coming to uni and telling people was like a whole different kettle of fish, because obviously I didn't know anyone. I only told a few people, I think, initially. For the first sort of few weeks we were at uni, I only told sort of like my college wife. I was speaking to like the people that I was close to, and it was sometimes quite difficult because, you know, people don't know much about being in care. It's not something that people are really aware of. So sometimes there'd be sort of like awkward questions. You know, sometimes the questions about sort of, oh, why I was at college 6 weeks earlier than everyone else, and people were like, oh, why have you moved in so early? But none of them were ever like malicious. Everyone was like trying to be, like, they were being nice. It wasn't sort of, nobody's ever been horrible. But then I think might have been sort of last term, so not last term, the term before, while we were in Oxford, I basically made it public. I wrote something for the Brasenose website, and since then it's been a lot easier to speak to people about it, and it's also been a lot easier for me to be more public about it, because I was very aware that I didn't want everyone at uni to know at first, and then as I became more comfortable at uni, I became more comfortable with telling people. But you don't have to tell anyone. I know people who haven't told anyone at uni apart from sort of, you know, like their tutors that need to know. It's not like a linear thing. You don't have to tell anyone. But sometimes it's nice to have those conversations, because then people know sort of, they're a bit more wary about what topics to avoid. So if you're a care leaver that doesn't have contact with your biological family, I do. I have fab relationships with my family, and always have. It's never been a family problem. Then it might be useful to like sort of get people to avoid the questions about, oh, what does your mum do? But yeah, it's all about what you're comfortable with. And I became comfortable with letting people know, and have from then been more comfortable sort of making it a generally public thing. But beforehand, I was a bit nervous, and I didn't want to sort of tell people that I was in care, especially because I think there's some quite bad connotations. People sort of have a one set vision, which isn't true at all. And yeah, so it can be difficult, but it's about who you're comfortable with when you tell them. And then for me, it was sort of, I felt comfortable within college as a whole.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, and yeah, thank you for like educating us as well, because I feel as though people who haven't been in your footsteps will never fully understand what you've been through, you know, and it's so important to communicate, obviously, when you feel comfortable, to people like about your experiences, because it raises our awareness, and as you said, there's the more and more kind of you're open about your experiences, the more and more people will know how to kind of tailor conversations surrounding your experiences. And one question that has been sent in kind of relates to what you were talking about, but from the other perspective. So kind of how to deal with friends. So you're a friend and you have a friend who's a care leaver. So Josh sent in a question saying, I don't really know much about being a care leaver, so this has been very insightful. How do I learn more about care leavers and how to help / understand them as my friends, I think. Let's put as my friends.
Yeah, so as your friend, I think first of all it's important not to expect them to tell you anything. You might have a friend who especially when you go to uni, is a care leaver and doesn't disclose that. And I think it's important that if they do, you are sort of, as I'm sure you would be, just sort of respectful about what they're saying, as if they were telling you anything else. I think there's no sort of one way. I think it's just pretty normal. You know, there might be things that might be upsetting for them to talk about. So as I've said, some people might not want to talk about their family as much. But the only way you're going to learn is by asking questions. And if you can find someone who's willing to answer the questions, then do speak to them, because it's a very specific experience. But also there are lots of sort of resources out there. There's lots of charities. So if you want to read things, then I think there's the Become charity, and lots of, if you just Google sort of experiences of foster care, there's a lot of people that have spoken about it. So in terms of sort of your friends, just treat them as you would anyone else. It's not like they're not any different, it's just sort of who's at home kind of thing. I don't think you need to really worry about sort of speaking to your friends. And if, for example, if Fran asked me a question that I wasn't comfortable answering, I'd just say I'm not comfortable answering that and leave it. Like, it's not any different in any other way. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Fran, as a friend of a leaver.
As a friend, I guess, like, just like Josh, I guess before kind of meeting you, I'd never actually met any kind of care leavers. So on my hand, it was kind of familiarizing myself with you and kind of knowing how to deal with, not knowing, but kind of learning about like being a care leaver through kind of you talking about your experiences. And exactly as you said, I treat you just as I would any other friend. Like, you're a normal person. Everyone's gone through something different. Everyone has their own different experiences. And I guess, you know, if you ever didn't feel comfortable about anything we were discussing, just I could probably read from your body language or, you know, things that you were saying. And I guess it's my duty as a friend to kind of detect that and kind of steer the conversation away from that. I mean, it's also important to acknowledge that we're humans and we'll also make mistakes. So if you're ever in a situation with a friend and kind of you say the wrong thing or you kind of step into territory that they're not necessarily comfortable with, that's okay, as long as you learn from your mistakes and just kind of try and avoid doing that in the future. It's all about learning to be better and better human beings in this really complicated society of today. So hopefully that's answered your question. Make sure to send in more if you kind of want to ask any more questions regarding this topic. And the next set of questions are more about kind of A-levels and A-level advice. So one has been sent in by Lima, who asks, what are your topic revision tips for A-level English literature? Now, I'm going to be completely silent in this because I have no clue.
Okay, so full disclosure, I didn't like English literature. I didn't do as well in English literature as I did in any of my other levels. But I did do all right. My tips, these are things that I wish I'd revised, because I didn't get an A in English. I got a B in English, and I wanted an A because I wanted originally to go to Glasgow. These are the things I wish I'd revised. Structure of your essays. You don't realise how important structure is until you're in your exam and you're writing a big essay and it's all over the place. So do try and ingrain a structure into your mind. Find your own way of writing and sort of stick to it. Quotes and themes are obviously really important. I don't know what exam board you do. I was on AQA, and for us it was really important to we missed out a lot of things on themes. I wish I'd revised themes more. So I did a lot of character things, and I did a lot of sort of scene quotes for like Shakespeare element. But I wish I'd sort of looked at more overarching themes and learned how to link those together. And also for the top marks, it's sort of about criticism and wider, I don't want to say wider application, but I can't think of the word. So sort of the wider impact maybe of the literature. So for example, in one of my essays, I wrote about Gatsby and sort of feminism, and Gatsby and Marxism. So I think criticisms are really important. And in terms of revising, I still don't think I ever found the right way to revise for English literature. I think it's really hard, and hats off to you if you have found a way to revise. But I found mind maps really useful, and also using teachers, which goes for any A-level ever. Take advantage of your teachers, because that's what they're there for. So yeah, those are the things I wish I'd revised, because I didn't particularly like English.
You know what? Hats off for you for even getting through the A-level, because as soon as I had the chance to, I dropped English like a hot potato, because that thing was just stressful. But I guess you can carry on. I just saw that light bulb moment.
Take your coursework seriously, right? I don't know if all exam boards want to do coursework. Mine did, and I actually did love my coursework. So take your coursework really seriously, put a lot of effort into it, but get it done as quickly as you can. So don't be sort of letting teachers be chasing you for things, because they're trying to set you deadlines because they want to give you the right amount of time to work on your actual exams. So take your coursework really seriously and do the best you can, because that is a good chunk of the grade that you're then not going to lose, or you might lose like 1 or 2 marks, but you're not going to sort of miss out on much. So do the best you can in your coursework. I think that saved my English grade, because I did do well in my coursework, because I loved my coursework. And also for your coursework, pick something that you're going to enjoy, so that you want to do well in it. You want to sort of
want to study for it and put the work into it. And I guess that's really important to highlight that, like, especially with coursework for A-levels, it's so, once you've done it and like that's kind of behind you, and now you're moving on to the actual exams themselves, I guess it can be a sense of reassurance knowing that 10% of your mark is already decided and 10% of your mark is already quite strong because you've put the effort and the work and the time into your coursework. So that can be quite reassuring. Unfortunately for science and maths, we didn't have such coursework, but we won't talk about it. Moving on, and this is a really important question sent in by Nagami, who asks, how did you stay focused and motivated? ?
In my A-levels?
I'm just imagining, like,
or just in general.
Just in general life. How did you stay focused and motivated?
So in A-levels, I think my motivation was pretty much uni. I think it was sort of, you know, I set myself up. I got a desk. I bought a desk, and I stuck a little picture of Brasenose. Literally in my
life. That's so cute.
So I had that little picture of, there's like a little street sign that says Brasenose Lane on the side of Brasenose, and I had that smack in my eyeline. So yeah, that was finding what your motivation is. But even in short term, it was really useful for me to sort of write a timetable and say, oh, you know, by the end of the day I've got to have done this, and that was the motivation. So it's not always about long-term goals, but I found it really useful to do, right, so I need to do this, this and this today. That's my goal. Because I think sometimes if you, especially with A-level, because there's so much, and GCSE, because there's so many broad things, you can look at it all and think, I cannot ever do that. But you can. It's just about, I found small goals really useful. And my motivation was always that one goal. And then obviously I had my overall motivation of Oxford. Also because I didn't like my insurance choice.
What's your insurance choice?
My insurance choice is Bristol.
Bristol is nice though.
It was the only one that I could put, because all of my others needed 3 A's.
That was like me as well.
The law is 3 A's. So the only one I could put was Bristol, and I didn't really like my insurance choice. So I didn't want to go there. So I was like, right,
I need to work hard so I get into Oxford.
Yeah.
And you did.
Especially if you're doing 4 A-levels, time management is really important. Because there were a lot of times, again, English literature, because I didn't like it, took a backseat to my other 3 A-levels. So managing your time is really important, because I spent so much time on psychology, and I loved history and politics and how they like link together. So I spent so much time on them. that sort of one of them dropped off. So don't pressure. If you're in a situation where you can choose to drop an A-level, I would consider it quite strongly. I'm not telling you to drop an A-level. If you think you can do 4, do it, but do think about it quite seriously in terms of the workload, in terms of what you want to get done outside of like.
So true. Yeah, thank you for kind of giving that advice on how you stay focused and motivated. And I think kind of the debate as to should I do 4 A-levels or should I do 3 is very, very relevant. And obviously a lot of GCSE students watching this, or year 12 students, will be kind of debating whether they should do 4 or consider dropping 1. And in my own experience, I actually did 4th AS and dropped psychology, which was such a shame for A-level. Reason being, I know, honestly, I enjoyed psychology so much. I don't know why. I think the reason why I dropped it was because I kind of had to. One, I couldn't cope with the amount of work I was doing, because with me, when I do something, I want to do it so perfectly and hammer every single point. I think that's kind of a flaw of being a perfectionist, meaning that the other subjects were draining so much time from me. And psychology is one of those subjects where there's just so much content, so it naturally takes a lot of time. So I had to drop that, and I needed the other 3 for medicine. So it kind of decided it for me that psychology had to go. But what I can recommend is that, as Bri said, if you don't really want to do a subject, do consider dropping it, because it is, at the end of the day, it will take up time. You will have to still revise for it, and if you don't enjoy it as much, it's going to be so much harder to motivate yourself to revise for it when the time comes. And also with A-levels, you get like free periods, which are times where you don't have any lessons. Within the first few months of year 12, free periods were basically, break time for a lot of us. A lot of us didn't really do work, but as you progress, especially as you approach exam season, they become such vital periods of time that you can use to study. And the difference between doing 4 A-levels or ASs and free A-levels freed up so much time for me, and it meant that I could focus a lot more on the 3 subjects. And essentially I realized that when I was doing 4 A-levels, I was spreading myself too thin. If you have the capacity to do 4 or more A-levels, that's absolutely amazing, but genuinely do analyze whether it's in your best interest to do it, whether there's a risk that you might end up kind of jeopardizing the mark you're going to get on the other 3 A-levels, and whether you enjoy it as well. Definitely important questions to take into consideration.
Oh, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, I do it all the time, honestly. Go for it.
Also, you might see on sort of social media the whole thing about like, oh, how did I used to manage full days at GCSE, and now I can't even do 1 lesson of A-level, right? Okay, but that's real life stuff. Like, A-level content is just heavier, and it's more sort of taxing on your brain. So I did 4 A-levels, and I found that often I didn't very often use my free periods in school, because the 2 days before I'd just done 5 straight hours of lessons. So a lot of my free periods I did have to use to sort of get a cup of tea and like just chat to people, because I didn't feel like my brain had enough space to do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I'm experiencing it right now, this degree, not gonna lie.
Like, it is okay to have a break. So also, yeah, that's a perk of A-levels, is that there is more time. But I dropped one of my A-levels in year 12, did it for AS because I didn't think I was going to do it again, picked it back up in year 13, which was a bad idea, so don't do that either. Yeah, this is just becoming what not to do.
What not to do. I love it. Next set of questions are about Oxford in particular, so kind of societies and the college family system. So first one is about, what is the Oxford Law Sock Ball like? Have you been before? If not, kind of what's Law Sock like? Are you a member?
I am. But I'm only a member of Law Sock because they were giving out free stash in Freshers Week. I've never actually been to a Law Sock event, but I do have friends that are much more involved. And they are really good for if you want to be a lawyer. So Law Sock's open to any sort of discipline, anyone doing any degree. And the balls, the Michaelmas ball, so the first term They're sort of around Christmas time. That ball's supposed to be the best. And all the balls are amazing. I think last year there was one at the Globe, like the Shakespeare's Globe.
I heard about that.
One on like a boat. Like these balls are next level. They are expensive, but from what I've heard and what I know, and I know people that are involved in sort of organising them, the money that goes into it is really worth the £150, because they're spending sort of upwards of tens of thousands of pounds on these balls. LawSoc, in terms of networking, so if you want to go and speak to people from law firms, I know a lot of people go to meals with representatives from Clifford Chance or Herbert's and Freehills, and that's really good. Again, if you want to be work within the legal sector, getting to know people, networking is really good. They also had this thing where you could go and meet some puppies. I signed up for that, but then it got but yeah, so LawSoc is actually, if you want to be a lawyer, like, it is really good. And also, I'm going to go to the balls, so it's going to be worth it. It's a big fancy ball whenever COVID lets us have a ball.
Even though I haven't signed up for LawSoc, and probably not planning on signing up, I'm definitely interested in going to the LawSoc ball, because honestly, like, across Oxford, all the college balls, all the society balls, LawSoc is known to be one of the best balls. So I'm definitely gonna try and go. I mean, I've got 5 years here. I'm gonna have time to go. And yeah, hopefully that's answered your question. Next question is about the college family system. So Nagmi asks, could you explain what college sisters, moms and dads are? This is gonna, if someone takes this out of context, like, this is gonna seem so wild. So
when you get to uni, you find a friend or two if you want a throuple, and you get married. But it's not anything spectacular. I mean, mine was. I had a lovely proposal at Freshers.
Yeah, what was your proposal like? Explain it to people.
So she, like, because, so, I think Chloe's on your channel, isn't she? So way back when, Fran did a video with Chloe, one of the medics in a big medic talk channel thing. That's my college wife. And we'd sort of chatted a bit before. We were quite active in the freshers chat. She's got cats. She sent me pictures of her cat. I've got a cat. I sent her mine. So we've been like quite chatty. And then when we got there for freshers, we sort of knew each other. So we had sort of chatted there. Then we went to freshers cocktails, and she got one down on one knee. No, she didn't. She went, "Shall we get married?" And I went, "Yes, that's a brilliant idea." So then we got married. But then somebody saw it and was like, "You can't just get married with no fancy proposal. You're the first pairing." So then she had to get down on one knee and propose to me. It's a lovely picture. So yeah, that's all it is. It's just a bit of fun. But you basically pick a friend, and then you apply to have college children. So that's someone in the year below you. I think the only real rules are you're not supposed to be married to people within your subject.
Doing your course, because then it's something like incest. I don't know how it works. People say it's like incest if you marry within your course. I don't know.
You just not do that. And then you sign up and you have a fresher. So tomorrow, when results day come in, I've got a law fresher coming in, and Chloe has a medic fresher coming in. And basically we're just there as an extra level of welfare support. But some families, so our family, we've got our parents, and then there's 2 lawyers and Fran as a medic. So then we're sisters. So if you've got the same parents, sisters. That's just kind of how it works. It's just like a little extra bit of welfare. You go for like a meal. We had pesto pasta at ours.
It was so good. It was so good.
And yeah, so it's just sort of an extra group of people. We send you a letter as a fresher, and so you get a letter, and also so it tells you who your college siblings are and who your college parents are. it's quite nice to sort of, add them on Facebook, or I don't know, follow them on Instagram or something, just so that you've sort of got, people people you can chat to. I just think.
I think it's a lovely idea too. Like, when I first heard about college systems, not gonna lie, I just laughed to myself because I was like, what is this? Why are you telling me that I'm already assigned a college mom that I've never met in my life? But honestly, like, having been through the college family system and going on to have my own college children, oh my god, hopefully they get their offers. It's just so nice. And we've got a comment down below which says, marrying within your course is incest, lol. Oxford is really wilding out here. It kills me. It's honestly so funny. And the thing is, there's not even consistency with the rules, because I'm aware that other colleges, you're just allowed to marry like whoever you want. I don't know. I think it's just a college thing. My two wives, shout out Khadija and Marie, one's a lawyer and one's almost forgotten there. One's a geographer, and we're gonna have 3 college children. Hopefully they'll get their offers, and we'll be kind of getting in contact with them from tomorrow after results day. But yeah, the college family system, I think Oxford is not the only university to do it. Cambridge also do it, and other universities also do it. But as Bryce said, it's just an extra level of welfare, and it's just an extra group of people that you can speak to, especially before you get to university, because that can be quite daunting to go into such a massive place not knowing anyone. And also, because obviously Oxford is very academic, before you get to university, a lot of students get sent like stuff like reading lists or like tasks that they need to do beforehand. So having a college parent who's kind of been through that before, they can give you like advice as to how to go about doing things, whether you need to buy particular books for first year for medicine at Oxford, whether you need a stethoscope or a lab coat before you start. So all this advice that you might not necessarily find on the website, that's what your college parents are for. So yeah, hopefully that's
notes if you're looking.
So Willie, what did you say?
Notes.
Yeah.
We've got a good set of family.
We did. We honestly did. Not gonna lie, Vic, if you're watching this, probably not. Who's my college dad? Bit slacking, but college mom, she's like the best. She's the best. Shout out, Sanj. Yeah. I mean, we've hit the 1 hour mark. There's a few more questions here. I always feel so guilty to end it having not answered all the questions. So we're going to quickly squeeze in one more question, and this was sent in by Sophia, who asks, I'm an estranged student and I'm scared I'm not going to get sufficient financial support when it comes to university. Can I apply for university government support?
Okay, so I'm not 100% clued up on students, but I think if you meet the government sort of definition, because there's a difference between like the government definition and how early being estranged impacts you. If you meet that, there is a higher level of student finance you can get from the government. But also, if you make university aware of your situation, again through UCAS, you can get sort of support from them. So, for example, I often speak to sort of bursary and say, oh, I need this support, or I need this support towards accommodation. Could I stay in college? So that is also an opportunity. The financial support should be there. Some might have specific CARELEAVER and estranged bursaries. Sometimes they come under one umbrella, sometimes they're separate. So I would basically search whatever university you want to go to and put estranged student, put CARELEAVER, put young parent, whatever you want on the end of that university, and it should bring up their page. But most universities have some sort of financial support, accommodation support, just welfare in place for estranged students. Yeah, don't let it put you off. Speak to people if you can, get people to sort of make sure people know. You don't have to tell everyone by any means. Just sort of, if you've got a tutor that is particularly involved, or I don't know how other universities work. Just sort of, there will be a contact somewhere within any university. So do contact them if you can.
Amazing. And You're gonna hate me for saying this, but I know I said last question, but there's been some sent in about results day tomorrow. I'm so sorry. We'll quickly speed through these last two questions about results day. The first one is by Sophie, who asks, she got an offer from Oxford for history and Spanish, and she's scared she's gonna miss her offer because of the grading system. Is she able to ring Oxford beforehand? And to my awareness, I think clearing is already open. Clearing's already open, but you won't be able to ring universities until results day. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bri.
What? So Oxford doesn't do clearing.
Yeah,
it's the first thing to say. What I would do if you miss your offer, the universities can't talk to you until you've got your offer. I knew that Oxford already knew basically all your universities already what you've got. They know whether you're coming from probably 2 or 3 days ago. But they can't talk to you or anything until you have got your result. So what I would do if you do miss your offer, ring up, make sure you check track, because if you haven't got the grades on paper, but universities know what's occurring. So I would check track, ring college, be aware that colleges are going to be inundated with phone calls and things. But yeah, ring college. Oxford unfortunately isn't part of clearing. I don't think it's changed that this year. And yeah, if you do miss it, I would speak to them. If you've got extenuating circumstances other than the pandemic that might mean maybe your mock results weren't as good, then do speak to them. Do what you can, but at the end of the day, as we've already said, if you don't get in, it's not the be all and end all. There are many other paths to go down.
For sure. Thank you so much for that answer, Bright. And last results day question, sent in by where's it gone? Sent in by Mayo, and they asked, do you think if a university is in clearing, they will let you in even if you miss slightly? So I think the way things are, clearing is essentially universities just kind of put available the courses that they haven't filled up spots for, and essentially even though on the website they may advertise required grades for that course, on results day, if you ring the universities, you may be able to negotiate having a place even though you don't technically have the minimum requirements for that course. So it's all on a kind of like a one-to-one kind of basis, and you won't actually know until you've rang the university. But one thing I can say is that clearing courses are already available now, and you can actually register your interest now. So downloading applications such as the Clearing app or Compare Unis,
Uni Compare or something.
Compare. All these websites have all the courses that are available to you. So kind of do your research now. Important things are also making sure that you've got the phone numbers of the relevant universities, so that on the day you're not really, really stressed, and just knowing kind of how the process of clearing works to make sure you're as prepared as possible for the worst case scenario, I guess. Yeah, Bri, if you've got anything to add.
Yeah, no, I've got nothing to add. I just want to say kind of good luck to you all, and don't stress about it tonight. I know it's easier said than done. I think I had about an hour the week before results day or something. But just think, all those results day dreams that I know you've been having, because everybody has them, will end. That's the best thing.
They're going to end.
You don't have any more of those dreams where you open up the paper and you've got 4 views and the whole world comes crashing down. Don't end. That was the worst part about the week.
Honestly, and I'm telling you guys, right, today's Wednesdays, tomorrow's going to be the day that you're going to receive your results. Today, honestly, don't stress yourself unnecessarily. Right now, after this live stream, I don't want to see any of you guys scrolling through the timeline, #results day, ringing up friends, discussing results day. do something else, whether that means getting your mom to take your phone for the night or watching a Netflix episode with your family or friends. Try and take your mind off results day. I'm sure you're all going to do marvelously, amazingly, and wishing you kind of the best for your results day. And yeah. Sorry?
I want to know.
Yes. Do that. Let us know how you do. Make sure to get in contact with Bri with any questions, or if you want to let us know how you did via her page Do They Care on Instagram. And yeah, feel free to DM me or message me on my Instagram platform as well. The name in the description bar below. And yeah, Bri, if you don't have anything else to add, I guess we'll end this live stream.
Good luck to everyone.
Yes, best of luck. No worries. Thank you so much for coming on this live stream. You've been honestly such a gem, and your advice has been so amazing. So yeah, thank you for sacrificing your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, with that said, I guess we'll love and leave you all and see you in the next live stream. Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Bye.